we? Okay. Welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I'm Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. So, today's episode is a post-fight episode for UFC Ultimate Fighter Nations Canada versus Australia. The main event was Michael Bisping versus Tim Kennedy in a middleweight 5-round main event. And then also on the main card we had a middleweight finale of the Ultimate Fighter to see who would win a 6-figure contract with the UFC, and also the welterweight. Plus we had the coaches fight. So let's get started on the post-fight show for UFC Ultimate Fighter Nations Canada versus Australia. Okay, so the main event was Michael Bisping versus Tim Kennedy in a 5-round middleweight bout main event. Yeah, oh man. You gotta understand, guys, who in the world do I root for? Do I root for good old buddy Tim Kennedy? Or do I root for good buddy Michael Bisping? Okay. You know, it's like this, like, they're both awesome guys, you know, man, you know, they're just life of the party, both of those guys. Oh man, I can't say enough great stuff about these guys. Yeah, and they were the main event, and I wish them both luck before the fight. I was like, oh man, you know, like, just, oh man, I wish both the best, you know. It's hard to pick, but I actually, for days before this fight, I was picking Bisping. Then the day before the fight, I was like, you know what, I got a gut feeling that Tim Kennedy's going to pull off the win here. Somehow, some way, he's going to be going for the takedown, so it'll be kind of like Chael Sonnen versus Michael Bisping, and sure enough, I was right. It went to the distance, and yeah, easily Tim Kennedy won 4 of the 5 rounds. And yeah, this was pretty much Tim Kennedy getting takedowns, going for submissions left and right. The second round, though, there's a lot of stand-up, and Michael Bisping looked good on the stand-up. Then, yeah, the last 3 rounds was all Tim Kennedy taking to the ground and going for submissions, and Michael Bisping being in defense mode. Great fight. I feel kind of bad for Michael Bisping because, you know, he's coming off that long layoff, and, you know, it's like someone had to win, someone had to lose. Can't say enough great stuff about these guys. Hope to see him again soon. And congrats Tim Kennedy getting the win. And I think Tim Kennedy deserves a top 4 guy in middleweight. You know, whoever's not tied up in the top 4 in the rankings in the UFC, that's who he needs to fight. And I think if he beats that guy, give him a title shot. Even though he hasn't had the most impressive victories, he's nonetheless had decisive decision victories. And then the Natal fight, he got first-round knockout, which there's no reason why he should lose to Natal at this stage in his career. Natal's a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but, you know, Tim Kennedy's on a whole nother level right now. Maybe Natal down the line will get to that level. Yeah. Great fights on this whole card, top to bottom. A lot of decisions, though. Not always the biggest fan of decisions. But yeah, Tim Kennedy won by unanimous decision. It was, yeah, 49-46, 49-46, and 50-45. So one judge had all 5 rounds for Kennedy, and then the other 2 had it 4 rounds, so 1 for Tim Kennedy. And yeah, that sounds about right. Then in the co-main event, we had a welterweight clash with Patrick the Predator Cote versus Kyle Noke. And yeah, Patrick Cote won by decision, unanimous. And I picked Cote to win this fight. I knew he had the superior ground game and he would be taken to the ground. And he did. And his jiu-jitsu has gotten a lot better. His wrestling has gotten a lot better. He really pushed for the single and double legs. I like that against Kyle Noak. Kyle Noak's a good fighter. He's a veteran in the UFC. He was on the Ultimate Fighter season 11. And Kyle Noak, his strong points is stand-up, and his ground game's not bad either. But Patrick Cote is just, he trains all over the top camps in Canada, and it's hard to compete against that, I mean, hanging around guys like George St. Pierre and Olivier, it's a whole different story over there. I mean, yeah, Kyle Noak trains out of Greg Jackson's, but just Kyle Noak, he needs to really, just work on his ground game, I guess. Other than that, I mean, I don't think Kyle Noak really was. Kyle Noak's not really a bad fighter. It's just Patrick Cote was the better fighter that particular night. Yeah, I like them both though. And so that was a co-main event, welterweight class. The Canadian coach Patrick Cote versus the Australian coach Kyle Noak, and the Canadian coach wins, Patrick Cote, by unanimous decision. Okay, then also on the main card we had the middleweight finale of the Ultimate Fighter Nations, a Canadian versus Canadian, and it was Elias Theodoro versus Sheldon Westcott. And Elias Theodoro, he won, TKO punches and elbows. That was, round two. Round two, because, round one was Elias surviving the first half of the first round against Sheldon, who really was trying to finish the fight early. A good job, Elias, for surviving. That was pretty tough. And then the last half of the first round, Elias really started to pick up the pace and take it to Sheldon and get those takedowns and get in the half guard and really go for stuff and just keep grinding out Sheldon, wearing him out. Then round two hits. Elias is really dominating now, and he finishes him off by TKO. It was a great fight. Yeah, congrats Elias for winning the Ultimate Fighter middleweights. Then also on the main card we had welterweights, Chad Laprise and Olivier Mercier. That's how you say it. Anyways, I like both these guys. Once again, a Canadian versus Canadian. The Canadians really dominated in this season, the Ultimate Fighter against the Australians. And yeah, I was unsure on who would win on this one, because sometimes a guy like Olivier, who gets hyped up big time, something happens, maybe it gets to his head, or overconfident, or just whatever the case is. Maybe he thought he had it, who knows. But yeah, Chad was smart. He avoided the ground game, avoided the takedowns. He didn't try to take Olivier down. He just, good old-fashioned, avoid the ground game completely, 100%. Even if Olivier fell down for whatever reason, Chad did not jump on him and get top position, which was smart, and just let Olivier back up and keep it standing and keep landing the hard shots. And yeah, it got Chad Laprise split decision victory, which I think was kind of bogus, because I think Chad won pretty much all 3 rounds, if not 2 of the 3 rounds, decisively. So I don't see how this was a split decision win for Chad. I think it was a unanimous decision win. But hey, the right guy won the fight, I think. Yeah, God bless Chad. He wants to help out that church over in Canada and wants to be a pastor. I think that's awesome. So good job, Chad Laprise. Good luck in your UFC career. I hope you stay at welterweight though, because come on, we need more good welterweights. I mean, there's a lot of good welterweights out there, but yeah, I would really like you to stay at welterweight. But if you want to go to lightweight, fine. Good luck either way. Then, to kick off the main card, we had Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Akira Kurosani. Now this fight, I was worried the first couple minutes that Akira might win. I really wanted Dustin the Diamond to win really bad. And Dustin ate some hard shots in the first part of the first round, which kind of worried me, but he knows how much he can handle, I suppose. He's been in that octagon quite a bit. He's won, I think, more matches in featherweight than pretty much the whole featherweight division. And his only losses are to Cub Swanson and the Korean Zombie, Chang Sung Jung. So Dustin is the real deal. He's a top 10 featherweight for a reason. And he was ranked number 6 before this. And I'm sure, if anything, he holds on to his number 6 ranking or moves up to number 5. I don't know how much he goes up with a win over Akira, who was not ranked in the top 10. But, yeah. Dustin won in the second round, TKO. That was, yeah, just straight up TKO punches. And just really rocked Akira. It was a great fight. Exciting. They got fight of the night. And yeah, it was Dustin picking up the pace in the last half of the first round. Then that was only 42 seconds in round 2, and you could tell like Akira barely survived that first round. So that wraps up the post-fight show for Ultimate Fighter Nations. Stay tuned for my next episode, which will be a post-fight for Verdun versus Brown, UFC on Fox 11. And until then, see ya.